the Rise Ranch. Hey YouTube, it is Doug with the Rise Ranch here, and today I'm going to show you how to incubate crested gecko eggs. So there's a few things that you're going to need. First, you're going to need a gram scale, which works because if it didn't, you'd be in big trouble. Next, you're going to need a Ziploc container of some sort. You can also use like a cheaper version of this, and that would work too. You're going to need a thumbtack because what you're going to do is you're going to end up poking a hole into the Ziploc container towards the top of the container so that there's one air hole in the container when it's closed. Because ideally, you're going to have the lid on it and it's going to be closed, and you want one air hole for air to go back and forth. And that will be enough. You don't need to poke any more than that. The next thing you're going to need is a hatching material. I use Hatchite. I like Hatchite just because it's convenient, but you do have to mix it with water. I believe there's saying no mixing necessary right there. You do have to mix it. I would not trust that. My first clutch of leopard gecko eggs I incubated with Hatchite went away because I listened to the label and it did not do me any good. So I'm going to show you what to do to avoid losing your eggs and having them dehydrate out. So you are going to mix this with water. You could also use perlite or vermiculite as hatching materials. Some people mix in moss. I don't really suggest that, but if you do use perlite or vermiculite, make sure that there's no fertilizer in it and it's just the material itself. The next thing you are going to need are the eggs, which I have eggs in there, which we'll go over in 2 seconds. So to start, what you're going to do is you're going to take off the lid to your container, put it on your gram scale, and tear it out. So you're going to tear it out to 0. The next thing you're going to do, I'm going to put down the camera for 2 seconds. There's my boy Gunner. Gunner, lie down, bud. Yeah, he's a good boy. Anyway, let's try to do this with this tripod and see how this actually goes. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your Hatchite. You're going to pour it into the gram scale. So I want to get it to about 60. I'm just going to see how that looks when I shake it. I'm going to go a little bit more. Gunner, back up, buddy. I'm actually going to go to 80 at this rate. There we go. And I'll take out a little bit just to get to the weight I want. Great. So now, as you guys can see, I'm at 80 grams. So what do we do next? Well, that's simple. Alright, so what do we do next? We have our iPhone open without you guys seeing my passcode like I did like a novice. And you are going to type 80 into your calculator. You are going to multiply that number, I don't know if I hit that, there we go, by 0.8. And that's how much water you're going to add to your substrate. So I need to add 64 grams of water to the 80 grams of Hatchite. So this is really simple. You're going to need a spray bottle too. I forgot to say that. And instructions. And what you're going to do is you're going to tear your gram scale, set it back to 0, and you are going to squirt around the container till you get to 64 grams of water. Now, just for the purpose of this video, I'm probably going to do a little bit less than 64 grams, but that's going to be alright, and you're going to see why in a second. So I'm going to leave that at 61, and I'm going to mix it up. So they do put water gels and Hatchite with perlite. This white material is perlite, so I'm going to do that. And then I just pack it down enough to get like a nice level field. And then at the end, I will look for that hole that's poked in the top. Alright, sorry about that guys. My hands got kind of gross and I couldn't find where that pinhole was to show you guys. But right there by my thumb is the pinhole. So right above my thumbnail. So that's the pinhole that the air is going to get to the eggs in the container. So when you put the lid on, like so, there's still an air hole in the container. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed and filming and it's not going great. There you go. So there's your air hole. And what you're going to do for something like this is you are going to poke 2 spots for eggs. So generally I like to do 4 eggs across, so ideally I want to get this over a little bit. And get that over. So you'll do 1, 2, and then you could do 3 and 4 right there, but I kind of messed that up. So in a perfect world, it'll look better than that. Here, just to show you again, just go like that, make a nice little egg hole, and put another one. So crested gecko eggs are kind of nice because you can leave these out at room temp and they do pretty good. So now we are going to do the fun part. We are going to search for the eggs. Alright, so I'm going to attempt to do this one-handed. I don't know how it will really go, but we will see. So what you're going to do for first-time people trying to find eggs in their crested gecko or leopard gecko lay box is you're going to want to be really, really gentle. So you're going to use your hand and slowly try to move the material. I kind of knew where they were, kind of didn't. So you see I'm just slowly moving it away. You're going to want to keep the position the same. These eggs were probably laid today or yesterday. Probably more like yesterday, but that's all right. Take the egg, keep it in the same position, and transfer it right to your lay box. It's all right that there's a little material on it. You could clean off the egg a little bit more. I'm just doing this one-handed, so it's a lot harder to do. Same thing, keeping the egg same position. I'm just placing it down so I can clean it off a little bit better with one hand. And you are going to place it in the other egg hole that you made. So that's 2 crested gecko eggs that are fertile. You can tell they're fertile because they're not too yellow and they have a hard shell. So ideally both of these should be fertile. The male's been in there with the female for over 3 months now. So I'm pretty positive these eggs are fertile. She's laid a bunch of fertile eggs already and has 2 hatchlings and is a proven breeder. Hey YouTube, so here's the incubator. I have it set for 80 degrees, which is fine for crested gecko eggs. They hatch out a little bit quicker. I know a lot of people like to leave them out at room temp. That's like 70 degrees, and they go longer in incubation. Enough, Gunner. Lie down. Lie down. He won't listen. Come on, sit. Come on. Sit. Good boy. Lie down. Lie down. Good boy. Stay. So anyway, there he is. He's a cutie. Anyway, if you don't leave them in an incubator and you leave them out at room temp, it's just going to take longer for the eggs to incubate. So just showing you some eggs. These 2 eggs right there, the far ones, you can see they're really big. They're ready to pop. So are these 2 little ones. They were laid about the same time, a few days behind these 2 big ones. And this was a smaller female that laid these eggs. And this egg actually right there is infertile. So I'm waiting on these eggs to hatch very shortly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how you could label it. So this is the new egg container. You see I have 1-24-2020 and I put a little picture on there, pinstripe cross. So all I'm going to do is put that right in there and you're good to go. As you see, I did that for the first clutch of eggs that already hatched, but I didn't actually write down the second clutch of eggs laid by both females, or the first one of the one female. So right there was the spot. Here, let's see if I can put this on top of this folder. Right there was the spot 2 eggs already hatched, so I don't put eggs back where eggs have already hatched. I only put them in new spots, but you could see 4 big eggs fits across there. I probably won't put any more of that one crested gecko's eggs in there, but this one is a slug. I candled it, there's no embryo in it. These 4 have babies in it, so I'm waiting on those eggs. So I should have a good number of Crested Gecko babies come, so I'm super excited, and these should hatch in the next few days. They were laid about 2 months ago, so I know roughly when these eggs have been laid. I just wait for them to hatch because it's easier for me, and I know which ones are from which pairing because I only have a few. So, and plus the babies will also be smaller from the smaller eggs, and the bigger ones should be bigger, theoretically. If not, that's okay. Sometimes you could get small babies from big eggs, and you know, same thing, vice versa, big babies from small eggs. One more thing I should mention is that when you do use a spray bottle to spray that perlite or vermiculite, you should also make sure that you clean the bottle container and use fresh water. Make sure that there's no soap or anything like that. So this was fresh water. I used RO water, so it's basically like distilled water, and I just use that, and it keeps the humidity nice and right. If you find that you have humidity on the top of your lid after a few days, so in the beginning, I will check this egg box, whatever you want to call it, like every 2 days. And if I see humidity on the lid, I'll open up the lid and I will wipe it down. So I will show you that if I see it. I will post a little video on that. But basically, that is that. This whole setup here was for a water dragon that I was fostering, but she got adopted, so yay. That's really exciting. I will have some leopard gecko eggs coming in the near future, and hopefully pictus gecko eggs, but my pictus geckos are way too small right now. I do not think that they're going to be laying eggs anytime soon. Hopefully by the summer, fingers crossed, but I think it will be more towards next winter, honestly, at this rate that they're growing. I have one female that's getting pretty big, but she's still slow growing, so we will see. Anyway, comment, rate, and subscribe.